with us on Retire Smart Austin. Brad Johansson along with Phil Capriotti Sr. and Power, Wealth, and Tax. Nice to have you with us. How are you, buddy?
Pleasure to see you again today, buddy. How you been?
I'm fantastic. Any golfing lately?
I was just going to ask you, how's your golf game?
My golf game stinks.
Okay, okay.
See, I got to a point where I was down to a 3 at one point in my life, and this isn't recent.
Okay.
I was down to a 3. And then you get to a point where you think, I'm going to get so much better. So if I just keep practicing, I'm going to be a plus. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tear people up on the golf course. And you work and you work. And I finally reached a point where I go, you know what? I'm never going to be any better than this. Mm-mm. And I can work all my life. And now I go out and play with people I want to spend time with and not worry about the score quite as much.
That's exactly what my goal. 2 things, okay? I like the exercise, need to get out of the office, and I want to play golf with people I want to spend time with. That's why I play the Friday game. That's why I do the Saturday game. And as much as these tournaments, my handicap is quite handicapped. And by the way, folks, just an FYI, if you're out there at any of the golf courses, okay, it doesn't matter whether it's Great Hills Trail or whether it's Summit Rock, Apple, Ram Rock, or Slick Rock. If you see one of my golf balls, it'll say Empower, Wealth, and Tax. Oh. If you see one of those, we have a reward for them. If you bring it in to me, okay, not only will I give you a dozen balls, but more importantly, I will do a Morningstar portfolio review complimentary along with portfolio observation and recommendations. No obligation, just bring the ball. I'm trying to see how many of those only hit once balls I can collect. You know what I'm saying?
This could be like an Easter egg hunt that you could go out to all these golf courses and just leave them out.
I fear they are. In fact, a friend of mine said, you got to stop putting your name on them, buddy. He said, you're showing everybody just how poorly you play golf.
But see, that's going to lead me straight into this, Phil. So I want to go into our show today. We talk about, because you can make a lot of mistakes on the golf course, and yet it's always about the next shot in recovering. I want to kind of do this for a lot of you out there who are trying to retire right and figure, I don't want to come in to see you, Phil, because I've made so many mistakes. I'm ashamed of the way I put it together, and I probably have more mistakes ahead of me. I want to go into some of the mistakes so that you feel like I'm in that boat. There are a lot of people who are in the same boat of trying to figure this out. Can we go through some of the mistakes that people are making in retirement?
I counted over 30, but I decided just to narrow it down to the top 30.
Top 30.
The top 30 mistakes that do-it-yourselfers make in managing their own investment portfolios, especially their IRAs and 401ks.
I don't know that we've got enough time for 30, but let's get as many as we can, and maybe we'll go through next week.
Yeah, well, you don't realize, it's like anything. You don't know what you don't know, and of course, we're always proud of what we do.
Yeah.
Look what I did, man. We had a great month. We had a great year. The last 2 years, great year. But what we actually want to do is we want to point these, we're going to call them errors, not mistakes, but how to correct them.
All right.
See, because I'm all about the teaching. I'm all about how do we correct the doggone thing. If it's broke, we want to correct it. So
we get a mulligan out of this. We're going to try and give you a mulligan in this show.
Looks like 30 mulligans are coming up.
Give me the top mistake. Can you name the top mistake that most people are making?
Yeah, well, there are actually a couple dozen top mistakes. Number one, believe it or not, it's the old thing, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So lacking a clear investment strategy. So many do-it-yourselfers really don't have an investment strategy per se. They're basically picking stocks, picking ETFs, or going along with the flow. So you need to, when you're investing, and this is part of the planning that we do, you have to have a well-defined investment strategy. So with that, that's understanding, number one, what your risk tolerance is. Okay, what's your appetite for market volatility? And a number of other different variables that go in there. But what we've noticed, especially over the last couple of years, is no matter what you invested in from COVID really to now, it was very easy to invest during COVID. Okay, and the reason I say that was basically there were 7 companies that basically ran the day.
Yeah.
Government shut everything down. Okay, well, Amazon, that's going to do well.
You bet.
Okay, Microsoft, that's going to do well. Any of the critical businesses that remained open were going to do well. So with that comes a false sense of security, which is got to be number 2. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You pick a couple good stocks. You have a couple good years. I got this. I got this down.
I figured it out.
I figured it out. Right. Exactly. Look, hon. Look what we did in this portfolio. We don't need to pay that guy down the street for analytics. We don't need to pay for multiple different portfolio managers like we like to manage our portfolios. I have over a dozen different portfolio managers because I want various professional opinions.
What if that one guy's idea is wrong? That's what you're saying.
Yes.
What if the one guy that you're trusting, what if he's wrong?
And what happens is we really like to, let's face it, we're baby boomers. We're pretty successful. We've gotten this far.
Yeah.
So when we pick winners, we tend to become overconfident in our stock choices. So this is also something you have to be aware of because we really need to look at all of the analytics. And if you think watching the talking heads on any of the business channels is really going to help, it'll help somewhat. But we do not have a clear strategy of when to get in, when to rotate sectors, and when to get out.
Is this trying to time the market?
That's what then that would be number 3, and that's timing the market. So with that being said, you can't time the market. This is why when we build a portfolio, we set parameters. We want to set a specific drawdown number. In other words, I don't want my portfolio, Phil, to lose more than 20%, 5%, 10%. Just build the portfolio so I have a high probability that no matter what happens in the market, I'm not going to lose more than X%.
Yeah.
But I still expect 8, 9, 10% return or whatever your stated or goal retirement income goal is, or retirement return is, portfolio return is. So timing the market, getting in, getting out, that's something you have to really be wary of because guess what? 97% of the individuals that time the market lose. 97%.
That's a high percentage.
Yeah, it certainly is. 97% of folks over a 10-year period. So you might be able to time it once or twice, but we're talking about consistently timing the market. You really have to have your own research and analytical team to even have half of a chance. But again, many folks, they go with the talking heads on TV. And by the way, for the most part, if you're taking your advice from some of the talking heads, and you know who I'm talking about, normally your best bet is to go the other way for the long term.
You have something that you want people to come into the office for. I mean, we started the program by saying, hey, if you find a golf ball, but for the rest who may not be hitting the golf course and may not be searching for those balls, but you would still, I mean, they're hearing some of these mistakes and going, that's me.
We want you to come into the office anyway, and because most of the folks that we work with are extremely successful. And many times what you can do is manage a good part of your portfolio, but you can also enlist or seek help in addition, like coaching. It would be like me taking golf lessons. It's okay to go out there and learn on my own. I can't begin to tell you how many golf balls I've lost in the process, but actually sitting down with a professional and letting a professional watch what I'm doing and helping me make little tweaks and changes, it's invaluable. So what we find with investors, especially newly retired investors, especially investors that over the last 10 years, 12 years have done extremely well. Well, my father used to have a saying, God rest his soul, and it used to be a high tide floats all ships, okay? And basically, we've been in high tide waters.
For a while.
Since 2008. Since the recovery, since the meltdown in 2008, aside from the 2022 sell-off, and aside from COVID, we had a V-shaped recovery in COVID. The only reason we had that is because President Trump dumped trillions into the market, okay? We told everybody to stay home, here's your money, and we'll cover your losses. Fact of the matter is those days are finished now, Brad, because we're at a rapidly approaching $37 trillion in debt. We can't look for those golden parachutes or those life preservers anymore. On the next serious market, I'm going to say, I don't want to say crash. I don't like to use crash. Let's say correction.
Okay.
We're not going to be able to depend on the government to bail us out. So it's extremely important to draw parameters. We also find a lot of investors like to chase returns. Give you a perfect example. I love NVIDIA, all right? And I'm not giving advice. Everybody, if you don't know NVIDIA, you've had your head in a hole. Okay, NVIDIA started out with gaming computers. How did I find out about it? My young son. Why? Because he had gaming computers and he asked me to buy one for him. Mm-hmm. These gaming computers had a lot of high-performance software. Wouldn't need it in the office, but they use it for these games. Well, as we started to see AI and quantum computing take over market share, who had the lead in that area? NVIDIA. But now what are we seeing? We're seeing competitors. We're now seeing NVIDIA, we bought relatively low. It split at a little over 1,000 a share, 10-to-1 split. It was up at taping of the show close to 140, but it actually dropped down to like 91 shortly after the split. So we have a lot of variance. But what I want is I want the new and improved version. I want the new. What's the next NVIDIA? What's the next energy? What is it? Nuclear, little mini or nuclear reactors? So again, this is all comes under research. It all comes under development. So when you're lacking that research and development in your portfolio, you can do well because a high tide does float all ships. But fact of the matter is, if you're working with a professional portfolio manager, especially one that works with multiple managers and has dozens of analysts, on average, you're going to do about 32% better.
Tell people what you have for them when they come in.
Folks, give us a call, dial 888-818-6557, or click the QR code. Let us run a complimentary Morningstar report. Now, our Morningstar reports are performed by certified financial planners. And as a matter of fact, we have an actual team of CFPs that run these. And along with it will come a portfolio observation and recommendations. We will give you recommendations. Zero. There's no charge for this. Come on in. Let's talk about active management. Let's talk about your own strategies for growing your wealth. Let's also talk about eventually you're going to get sick and tired of managing your own portfolio. One of the other things that we look at is what happens when you pass. What does your spouse do if you're married? So come on in. Let us run this independent Morningstar report and portfolio observation. Absolutely complimentary. I want to get to meet you. If you have one of my Empower Wealth and Tax golf balls, we got an added bonus for you there. Just dial the number and come on in.
Going through some of the mistakes that you might be making. Let's help them be corrected. Let's take a mulligan. 888-818-6557. We'll go through some more when we return.
I first got in the financial world in college. The first year, summer, I got a position as a laborer underground in about 110-degree heat. After that first year, I realized there's no way on God's good green earth that I'm going to be a laborer for the rest of my life. So it made me really buckle down to my studying. Second year, a friend of mine got his insurance license and worked with a company called the Palm Ross Agency. So my very first week, I'm broke. I go in, they give me $50 30 leads that had been worked by about 7 different agents. So I'm thinking, I think they don't want to give me the new leads because I'm green, but okay, I'll go on it. I had made more in that first week than I made in an entire month as a laborer. I did that my sophomore year, my junior year. In my senior year, I got ready to graduate. Well, I'm graduating top of my class my senior year, so I'm getting offers now. And I have another offer from Bankers Life and Casualty to go into their entry-level management program. I was the very first branch manager, the youngest branch manager with Bankers Life and Casualty. I was running the Philadelphia office by the time I was 25. I was running the Toms River, New Jersey office, and I was running the Reading office. So my wife was none too happy with me at that point. So about 3 years later, I started my own company, and that's when I actually decided to become independent, and then the rest is history. I've been in this industry for quite some time.
So glad you're with us on Retire Smart Austin. Brad Johansson with Phil Capriotti Sr. Is your wife still mad at you at this point? By the way?
No, she's a happy camper right now.
She's a happy camper now.
Yeah, she's very happy. She loves Horseshoe Bay, and we still have our other homes. And but she got tired of packing things up and going from Leander, to Lampasas. We have a ranch out there, and she was like, okay, we have somebody to take care of the cows up at the ranch. So she's like, I'm tired of this. I don't know what house.
Exactly.
She doesn't know, So she's like, it's in the closet. Oh, no, it's in the closet in the other house. But again, when you have multiple offices, like I told her, I said, this is retirement, honey, so let's adjust. She loves the Horseshoe Bay house. She loves living on the golf course. I can't believe that. But okay, I'm going to take it as a win.
Yeah, it's a big win.
It was the house that she always wanted. It's Santa Fe style, with the sautea the tiles, roof, and all that. It's great. I love it out there, too.
Well, as you said, this is retirement. This is adjusting. We're talking about some of the mistakes that may be made, and there are a lot of common mistakes because you go, I'm the only one who's done this. No, you're not the only one who's done this. And Phil has seen hundreds and thousands of people. That's part of the perspective that you're looking for. I've been doing it myself. I'm okay. Now I'm worried about it. Why wouldn't you want somebody to do it for you or at least help you with what it is? We're talking about your perspective on trying to figure these things out. You've seen so many of the mistakes. What's the next one that we need to hit on?
Not diversifying enough. Certain individuals. And again, when I was younger, I was even guilty of this myself. We're not sticking with one sector that's hot, and we'll use AI, for instance. Looking at not diversifying enough, sticking with one sector, and then overloading or having too much stock in one particular company. It's a massive issue. Eventually, what happens is you get complacent. The stock is doing well, the company, the sector is doing well, so you buy more.
Yeah.
And you buy more. And so what happens is you start to lose diversification. You become heavy in one particular sector or one particular company and open yourself to company risk.
Yeah, you get business risk on top of the market risk that you're dealing with because he goes, I've got this whole thing figured out.
Yep.
Beyond diversification, is there something that you say, please stay away from, or please adjust because I've seen it too many times?
Neglecting asset allocations, okay? Getting stuck on just a stock portfolio or just a mutual fund portfolio or just an ETF. Or worse, just a bond portfolio. I see a lot of folks with these taxable accounts, 7-digit, some of them 8-digit taxable accounts, and they're loaded up with muni bonds. And when we start to add muni bond funds, and when we start to take a look at these muni bonds, we start to look at them, their average 10-year return averages somewhere between 1.5% and 3%. And they go for the tax-free. Yeah, but it's tax-free. Well, again, it's tax-free, but it doesn't. But it's federally tax-free. But it affects the tax on your Social Security. It affects your Medicare Part B IRMA. It has other different issues that are negative. So getting stuck, thinking that you're safe in bonds or overloading in stocks. And this comes through with what we're not doing is we're not diversifying, and we're not making sure that our portfolio is designed and structured based on our risk tolerance. Also, we're not making changes at the right time. Many folks, I saw this in 2008, and I also saw it again during COVID, selling at the wrong time and buying at the wrong time.
Isn't it simple? Don't you buy low, sell high?
Yeah, it's easier said than done, though, Brad. So fact of the matter is, over 85%, folks won't openly admit it, but I'm telling you, we manage literally hundreds and hundreds of portfolios, and I see the same mistakes because I'll look at portfolios. We'll run a Morningstar report on a portfolio, and there were no significant changes in these portfolios for the last 8-10 years. I have folks that have inherited portfolios from their parents, and they're basically staying with their parents' investments. Well, those investments may have been good for their parents 10, 15, 20 years ago, but they really don't apply to their risk tolerance today. They may do quarterly rebalancing or maybe rebalance once or twice a year, but a lot of these investment advisors let these old mutual funds run. And when we take a look inside and we start to see that these old mutual funds hold the same companies, hold the same sectors, and have different internal fees, a lot of these older funds, these A and B shares, even these C shares, they have internal management fees of over 1%.
It's something that people haven't even adjusted to. And I know we haven't even touched on Social Security, but tell people why you want them to come into the office with probably some Social Security questions that they've been afraid to ask, or they've been told somebody at the water cooler, here's how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of misinformation from do-it-yourself professionals, folks that have very little bit of knowledge in the industry. Folks, I would say that if you're getting ready to retire, or if you retired, and you haven't sat down and structured a tax-efficient Social Security maximization schedule, we need all of your earnings reports. Earnings, it shows each year what you've paid. If you haven't sat down, or your advisor, if you have an advisor, hasn't sat down to help you determine what's the best claiming strategy to make your retirement income plan the most tax efficient, give us a call, dial 888-818-6557. Click the QR code. That's the very first step in helping you become tax efficient and structuring not only that, but a more comprehensive, not just portfolio, but retirement income plan.
And let's make your retirement the best that it can be. Phil has been doing this for so many years, all around the country. Let's help you retire smart, Austin. 888-818-6557, trying to correct some of the mistakes and not do them again and make retirement last. We'll be right back.
Are you nearing retirement and wondering how to make the most out of your Social Security benefits? Social Security is a complex puzzle, and making the wrong move can cost you tens of thousands of dollars over your retirement. At Empower Wealth and Tax, we specialize in helping people like you navigate the ins and outs of Social Security. Our experts will craft a personalized strategy to maximize your benefits and minimize your taxes, ensuring you get every last dollar you deserve. Imagine a retirement where you can truly relax and enjoy the fruits of your labor without worrying about financial pitfalls. Don't leave your Social Security benefits to chance. Schedule a complimentary appointment with us today and secure your financial future. Again, schedule now and let's make your retirement dreams a reality.
So glad you're with us on Retire Smart. Austin, Brad Johansson with Phil Capriotti as we talk about some of the mistakes in retirement. Too many, but we may have to come back and do some more. I want at least one more of the mistakes that we're doing that will resonate with people. Where do you want to go with this one?
I think we'll give them a couple more, and then next week, folks, we're going to come back and we're going to do a part two because we didn't even scratch the surface here. Ignoring rebalancing.
Okay.
All right. So unfortunately, we need to periodically rebalance this portfolio. And I'm not saying to rebalance it yearly or even semi-annually or even quarterly. Depending on how active the market is, sometimes it's extremely important to rebalance the portfolio monthly.
No.
And we find that a lot. And with most folks, especially in these taxable accounts, they're afraid to sell an asset because they're concerned with long-term capital gains. Well, your long-term capital gains rate now, especially with this new administration, we don't have to worry about long-term capital gains becoming ordinary income. At most, it would be 20%, but we see the average between 0 and 15%.
Okay.
So many folks don't realize that they can rebalance up to $90,000, $92,000 a year, and they can actually rebalance and capital gains taxes at 0%.
How about that?
So it starts at 0%, and then it goes to 15%. And unless you're up over $400,000 or $500,000, then it'll jump to 20%. So many folks, again, they don't understand the tax planning. They don't integrate it with their portfolio management. It's another huge mistake. We're leaving a lot of meat on the bone, as the old saying goes.
Is there something that we started this program by saying there's over 30 major mistakes that we're dealing with. I can't correct it. That's some of the mentality. Look, I made the mistake. I can't do it. We go back to the golf analogy that we began the program with. I want a mulligan.
Yeah, but but they're like, yeah, but Phil, I did 22% last year. Well, okay, you did 22%. So why wasn't it 31? Okay, that's not the point. We're not chasing returns here. But the fact of the matter is, what does your tax bill look like at the end of the year?
Yeah.
So when you start to integrate active management, professional portfolio management, when you start to look at rebalancing, and I think one of the biggest one, and this is going to be number 9, is letting your emotions drive your investment strategies.
So many of us do.
Yeah, making your decisions based on either fear or greed, or a combination of both. So when you're managing your own portfolio, this is very personal. Number 1, many of these folks clock watch. They're watching this portfolio every single day. So they get too emotional.
We're watching the clock now too.
Yeah.
Can we do another one after this?
Yeah, we're going to do another show. Stay tuned next week. We're going to go through, get a even deeper dive, just to make sure that you understand it's okay to come in and get a second opinion.
Pleasure. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in the office. Give a call. Click the QR code. See you next time.